We'll respond within 72 hours. Maybe.
It says public hearing will be held for the Texas Academic Performance Reports.
Call this meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. This is the regular board meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Canutillo Independent School District. The date is January 28th, 2020, and the time is 5:33. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to both flags, and can we have the principals, yes, that's right, representing the various campuses who are here.
Principals, come on up, say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. And the heads of the department.
Heads of the departments as well.
Ms. Parker, Deputy Jonathan.
Come on.
I was guiding everybody.
Go, people.
I'm the
I think I know the words.
Okay, come on, they're reversed.
You're going to turn your flag. The flags are in the wrong position. American flag should be here and Texas flag should be there. They're reversed. So can we fix that, please? We need to honor correctly.
Or you just take the
No,
stick out.
Here, pass me that.
Let's start.
Everybody.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you all very much. Here. All right.
Board Chair, I just want the kids to realize why we stopped with the flags back. Because one is to honor this country that we serve, all the veterans and the men and women that are serving, but also we serve you. So this flag, I speak to the kids, represents all of us. So when we do something, it's good to have, again, that it's done right. So that's why we stopped. Okay? Capiche?
All right, that takes us to the next agenda item. Sonia?
Roll call. Ms. Brigham.
Present.
Mr. Coronado.
Here.
Mr. Bayan.
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Mrs. Searles.
Here.
Mrs. Trout.
Present.
And Mrs. Iglesias.
Here.
All right, next agenda item, Sonia.
CISD vision and mission statements.
All right, and would, Ms. Proud and Mr. Rodriguez, would y'all care to read
Yes.
those for us?
Thank you, Board President. Vision. Canutillo ISD is a premier district preparing tomorrow's best today with innovative, future-focused learning opportunities for every student.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our mission is to create rigorous student-centered classrooms which develop future-ready students to compete in a global economy and thrive in a multicultural world.
All right, thank you, Ms. Proud and Mr. Rodriguez.
Welcome, sir.
And that takes us to the next agenda item.
Yes, sir. Open forum. Any person wishing to address the board during the period reserved for public comment at a board meeting must sign up to be heard in accordance with district policy BED. Number 1, each participant will be limited to 3 minutes to make comments to the board. Item number 2, the board is not permitted to discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on the agenda for tonight's meeting.
All
For
right,
present, we have 2 speakers, and they are Tisha Papan and Kendall Papan.
all right. But one of you come up. All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, I'm Kendall Papan. I'm a 6th grader at Plainview Middle School, and I would like to talk to you about a day at school for me. I feel sad at school a lot. Sometimes I feel like I don't belong. I feel like people don't really see me. They just see how I'm different. My mom and dad tell me they're different to me. I don't feel that way. Kids at school make fun of me for being tall, having curly hair, and long legs, and the size of my shoes. But what really hurts the most is when they're mean to me about being adopted and being better. This makes me really angry. It makes me want to be mean. It makes me disrespectful. It makes me feel like I can't show my feelings because if they know it's hurting me, it doesn't keep on doing it. Sometimes I cry. I just want to see them feel me, and it makes me not want to eat or talk anyone or trust anybody. My mom asked me if I wanted to go to online school or private school. I don't want to. I want to stay at my school. Why should I have to change schools when I'm not doing anything? My mom said if I want to stay at CMS, then I have to change. I have to stand up for myself and others and not be afraid. I have to be a part of the solution and not add to the problem. So here I am standing up for myself and telling you that I need help to make a difference. I know I'm not the only kid that feels this way. I'm Kendall. I like basketball, volleyball, hanging out with my friends, and I like to swim, watch movies, journal, sing, dance, and laugh. I'm just like everybody else.
Good evening. While I watch my daughter struggle through this difficult time, I'm not going to lie, I've experienced anger, heartbreak, helplessness, and an overall flood of emotion. I wanted those that hurt her to be punished and to be held accountable. My first instinct was to protect. As I reflect on the events of the past few weeks and the stories that I've heard of struggles from the other students within the district from elementary to high school, the news that I see on television and numerous school shootings throughout our country, I have prayed diligently and racked my brain and the brains of others. Thank you, Mr. Judge. He's been my ground wire through this. And he's an amazing administrator. I have leaned on them to identify the problem and to propose a solution to the cruelty that I see amongst our kids. The problem, as I see it, is this. We're a Title I district. 66.2% of our 6,200 students are economically disadvantaged. That's 2/3 of our student body. Many of our students are lacking empathy. Stop.
Go ahead.
Are lacking empathy and emotional intelligence. Whether it's due to the lack of parenting, poverty, displacement, and there's countless other situations that I can only imagine. It's affecting their ability to learn and thrive socially, and it's also having a negative effect on those around them. And whether we like it or not, all of these kids are our future. I looked up the purpose of our public school system. The system is to provide skills for functioning in the future world and to develop productive citizens of society. I went over our mission for the district to create a rigorous student-centered classroom which develop future-ready students to compete in a global economy and thrive in a multicultural world. The district has done an amazing job academically with an A rating, but to thrive in this multicultural world and develop productive citizens, we have to do more. We must stimulate the emotional intelligence of the students that are lacking it. Studies have shown that low emotional intelligence and bullying go hand in hand. As emotional intelligence increases, then the bullying will decrease. With that said, I have a proposed solution. I came across the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence and their ruler approach. For this, it's suitable for grades pre-K through 12. It's a curriculum that's available online. I've provided a summation of this program for you, should you be interested in looking at it further. I'm here, we are here, these people are here this evening to support my daughter in finding her voice and to demonstrate to our kids how to make a positive change. This room is filled with your community volunteers, with parents, children, and families that are working together every day to help our schools and our community and keep them emotionally and physically safe for everyone. We are part of your solution. I'd like to leave you with a quote from Aristotle. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Such a powerful statement that holds a lot of truth. This problem is so much bigger than one of us, but collectively, we can make a difference for all of our children. Thank you for your time and consideration. Good night.
Do we have anybody else signed up?
No, sir.
All right, I know we're not supposed to respond to comments in open forum, but let me just say this, that every child in our district is welcome. Every parent and family members that want to participate in our children's education are welcome and should be encouraged. And we want to encourage that. As a board, as administration, as teachers. We actually have an item on the agenda for tonight, specifically for a resolution from the board to have our district an open and welcome district. It just doesn't take resolutions, but if you want to, please don't leave. We can discuss some more of this when we take up that agenda item. So, just wanted to tell you that your daughter is welcome and deserves the support from our entire administration and teachers and the community. All of our children do.
So, I want to remind the board that we're not supposed to respond, discuss before. It's for the record.
Yes, Dr. Doties. Thank you. And if I get sanctioned for that, so be it. Sonia.
Item 3, a special presentation. A presentation of School Board Recognition Month program. Mrs. Rodriguez.
All right.
Good evening, Board President Coronado, members of the board, Dr. Galaviz. Can you please join us in the front of the dais for a special presentation? Every day in Canopio, our children learn and grow as they prepare to be the next generation of leaders of our community, state, and nation. Though many may not realize it, school boards play a crucial role in ensuring our precious children receive the best education possible by working with parents, professional educators, and community members to create successful learning environments. School board members, along with other dedicated school officials, have tackled the task of providing high-quality education to an ever-diversifying and talented student population. And they do so with a determination that has turned challenges into opportunities to face important issues, develop innovative solutions, and empower educators. At this time, in honor of School Board Recognition Month, I ask everyone here to join in celebrating the work and the success of our Canopio ISD school board members who play an important role in the education of our students and launching the next generation. Board members, can I invite you to have a seat and enjoy a special presentation from our students and staff?
Right in front of the.
Just wait, come on. I just think it's fitting that you got to get a picture of all the kids. You know.
Sure. Come on. All kids and students. Monica, you fell in one of those.
No.
Hi, everybody. Hi, guys. How are you? Back up and you guys get right in the center, guys.
There you go, guys. How are you? There you go.
Come on, right here.
And if the board members could do the same thing for the steps and then they can on the second. So they can all fit.
Another roundup or?
I think that should be fine.
Okay.
So they,
Is that okay with you?
so they can scoot in this way.
She will.
I'm gonna get in your way real quick.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. What is this? This is a surprise.
incredibly fun. Thank you for everybody that's participating in that presentation and for all the goodies that are up here before us. Open it up. Any board member want to make a comment?
Definitely.
Ms. Trout.
Thank you very much. I think some of us are going to be so happy for this. And what we really enjoyed it personally, the smile of the children. And thanks to you, because all of you do for students, that's what we really are here for. Thank you for everything, for supporting us, but most to the kids. Thank you to the parents as well, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Trout. Ms. Brigham.
And PIO, you did a great job. I really thought that was a class act, so thank you so much. I don't have to say to the principals you're a class act, because you are. No, I know so many of you directors, executive directors, I know what you do, been there, done it. You guys too are young, some heroes. And it's easy to be up here knowing you have such competency and not only competence, but dedication and passion. So I want to thank you too. And thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brigham. Mr. Vega.
First off, I guess the first person, or the first group of people, I would just say, thank you for everything. Every day you get up and you put your child, get him ready for school. That in and of itself is a tremendous accomplishment, because a lot of little kids nowadays, they have so many distractions. And you get them ready, send them to school, and you put your trust in the teachers and administrators and everybody that takes care of your child. But again, the teachers, I've heard so many instances of a lot of little kids come to school that with problems in their background, and you guys deal with them and encourage them and get them prepared for the next class. So thank you, Untitled teachers, administrators, and that work so hard to get these little kids ready. And you support them, and you provide them the love and comfort and sincerity that you do. For that, thank you. It's easy being up here. I come to the meeting once a month. Yeah, it takes a little bit of preparation. But I feel lucky being up here because I get to represent the parents that struggle to get these little kids to come to school. I know that high schoolers are not little kids, but there's a challenge there too, to keep them going, keep them focused, and get them to get going. And believe me, from my own family, Canutillo is a great school district. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pat. Anybody else? Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank the community, thank the parents, the teachers. Our staff has done a tremendous amount of work with either Dr. Galvis and our administrators, our teachers. We've been able to see this continued growth, increase in rigor and equity within our educational system. And as we look to the future, some of the discussion we had earlier, it's important for us to continue that, especially public education is one of the equalizers to society, and it's a great privilege for me to be here because I believe in giving as much opportunity to our kids and changing as many students' opportunities and hopefully changing the trajectory of our parents, our community members. It's important for us to continue the work that we do. Thank you.
Well said. Anybody else? Ms. Searles.
Thank you, Mr. Coronado.
One of the youngest board members.
I can't tell you what an honor it is to sit here, and it's very hard to say it without time. I've been here for 20 years essentially, and I have seen our district grow from when I first got here. There were 1,400 students in one elementary school. And it really wasn't the finest of elementary schools either. It's friendly and look at our kids, they're beautiful. Opportunities we've given them. We've grown together. It's really an interesting situation we have here. We're family, and it's awful nice to sit up here. I thank you all for all the support that you give us, and I thank you for coming to us fearlessly to ask us for your support as well. The young lady who spoke tonight, I thank you for being fearless and for coming up, and if things aren't right, that's what we're here for. So thank you. It's a godsend and an honor and a privilege to sit as a trustee. Thank you. Sorry I get so emotional. I'm passionate.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Mary.
What can I say other than, thank you very, very, very much, for supporting us as board members. That's what we're here for you, to support you all. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, Mary. All right, now I want to thank the entire community of, we've come a long way. Back in, when I first came to Ganapio back in I was in 3rd grade, 1969. So I'm only 32.
They know better.
I
was in school in 1932.
But really, so I was here in the early days, and when we did only have one campus for everybody. And so, actually, at one point in time, we didn't even have a campus for the high school. We had to go off to El Paso High School. And one of our community members, who eventually became a judge, son of one of our ex-board members, had to hitch a ride to be able to go to high school because we didn't have that available. It's really heartening to have the support of the community, to support our administration, our teachers, most of all our students. Like Mr. Payan said, our students come to us and we gladly accept them the way they are. Well prepared, not prepared with problems. Welcome them. We want to make sure that they succeed. And while we're an A-rated district, we still have work in a lot of aspects. And so I want to thank everybody involved especially the community that supports the district itself in moving forward with all our programs. And like we said, first and foremost, the focus on our students, children. So I want to thank you. And some of our board members in the past didn't get to experience this appreciation that you guys do for us every year. So I just want to mention a few of our past board members that have left us. And so I'd like at this time for a moment of silence for those board members that are no longer with us. We actually have named some schools after them.
Yes.
So Mr. Garcia, Mr. Damian, and a lot of others that have gone on. So this time, let's just say a moment of silence and appreciate those people in the past that have helped us build our district. Thank y'all. We've had some, a lot of great support and participation from our community, from our previous board members. I can remember Gaspar Tarango, who's from my area. There's not very many of us from Borderlands that served on the district, but there's been a few of us. Gaspar Tarango, myself, most of the others, Mr. Barnes.
Mr. Durda.
Mr. Durda.
He's from your neighborhood.
He's from my neighborhood, Mr. Durda, we live right next door to each other, and so.
Mr. Keithley.
Mr. Keithley, that's right.
I was telling Dr. Gallagher,
Mr. Brewster.
Mr. Brewster. But people could smoke at school board meetings.
It's been a long time ago. You didn't say what kind of smoke.
Oh, it's just cigarettes.
I pipes. But anyways, we appreciate all the service of all the previous board members, especially, a lot of those that didn't get to experience the appreciation that y'all give us during this time every year. So, all these goodies are really great. Thank y'all so much for thinking of us for this recognition month, and it's very, very much appreciated. So, thank y'all very much. Sonia, next agenda item.
Yes, sir. Item number 4, public hearing. A public hearing will be held on January the 28th, 2020 regarding the Texas Academic Performance Report. The public will be invited for public comment. Dr. Rico.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, and just echoing on everything else that we've been saying earlier, thank you for all of your service. I am Dr. Oscar Rico, the proud principal of Alderete Middle School, and I am being a substitute today for Dr. April Galaviz, who could not be here with us as she is out on maternity leave. But tonight we will be presenting the Texas Academic Performance Report for the 2018-2019 school year. If we look at this slide, we're able to see the components that the Texas Education Agency asks that be reported, and you are able to see here our district accreditation, our assessment data, our graduation profile, student enrollment in post-secondary institutions, our incident reports, and our PEIMS financial data. As you well know, we are very proud of saying that we run on double A's, and we are back-to-back A-rated school district as the top district in the region, or Region 19, for the past 2 years. And as you're able to see in this slide, all of our campuses met standard, and the special education department has a status of needing assistance because of 2 schools, AMS and CMS, needing to improve their educational outcomes for special education students when it comes to them reaching needs and mastery on their state accountability. Also, the department is completing, or the special ed department is completing a corrective action plan. On this next slide, we're able to see that our district attained 17 distinctions this year, and you're able to see also that our strong point, as 5 of our 10 schools have attained a distinction, being in their top quartile for science recognition. So this is the strength within our district. When it comes to our STAR performance, on this next slide, we're able to see 3rd grade through 8th grade in all subjects. And when it comes to 3 areas, ELA, math, and social studies, you're able to see that our passing rate is consistently aligned to the state and the region. And also, when you look at our science scores in meets and mastery particularly, our performance is above average when it comes to the region and the state. Writing continues to be a focus for our district as we are continuing to close the gaps. On this next one, we're now able to move on to the secondary level with district EOC scores. Here you're able to see subject areas across the high school, and the passing rate for all of our EOC subject areas, which include algebra, biology, English 1, English 2, and U.S. history, is aligned to the state and region, and science, also at the high school level, continues to be our strength as approaches and meets continues to be higher than the region and the state. One question that we consistently ask ourselves as leaders within the district is, are our students getting better every year? And that's what we see on this next slide. Are our students making progress as measured by the state of Texas from year to year? Here you're able to see the summary of our students that met expected or accelerated progress in the areas of reading and mathematics. When it comes to mathematics in grades 5, 7, and 8, and 8th grade reading and English 2, our percentage is higher than the state and the region. For grade 5 reading and EOC algebra, we are aligned to the state and region. And we do notice a drop in the transition from elementary to middle school in grade 6. Also continues to be one of our focus points for the district. This next slide we have is our graduation profile. And I'd just like to point out that it's for the 17-18 school year, so we are a year behind when it comes to this data. We have a total of 470 graduates, with 91.3 of them graduating with an endorsement or distinguished level of achievement as measured by the then new House Bill 5. This is 8.2% higher than the state. And when you look at the recommended high school plan, which changed under House Bill 5, you'll see that not many of our students graduated with that plan, as it was an ancient plan as we moved on to House Bill 5. The next one here, the state tracks longitudinal graduation rates, so we go in 4, 5, and 6-year increments. Obviously, when we look at the ideal 4-year rate, we're able to see an increase from the prior year of 1.2%. So that brings our graduation rate for the school year that we are looking at to 94.2. And what happens to our graduates once they leave Canutillo is also a particular concern to us and to our community. Here you're able to see how we track the post-secondary enrollment of our students. You see that the majority of our graduates are enrolling in Texas public schools, whether it be a 4-year university or 2-year public college. In the next slide, which is pretty self-explanatory, you're able to see the report on violent or criminal incidences in our campuses. So the minute number that exist are listed here, and you're able to see them broken down by campus and by offense. So how we spend our taxpayer money and our state money is on this next slide when it comes to our team's financial reporting. This slide shows the amount of money we spend on operations in comparison with the state, and it shows how much we spend as a district per student for every function. Thank you very much for your time, and this presentation is now open for public discussion.
All right, public is invited to come up and comment on the presentation. Someone? Board members?
Oh, I do have a question.
Ms. Brown?
Dr. Ricker, you were talking about the HB5, about the graduation difference. Can you please explain a little bit about that?
Yes, ma'am. So prior
Page
to
14, right?
that would be correct. Yes. So prior to the implementation of House Bill 5, high schools across the state had to graduate with one of 3 different recommended plans, whether it be distinguished, recommended, or minimum. As that went away, districts slowly started to transition into House Bill 5. Being that we are at the vanguard of things coming down from TEA, we were able to assimilate this new House Bill 5 and not really have to utilize the old graduation plan, which is why a very small number of them graduated with that plan.
Yeah, I see the decreased number. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. Brigham?
On the graduation, I think that it was very good thing to see the student plan, and great job. Thank you, Dr. Calabrese, and to all the principals in getting that. It's amazing. That's why we have a ripple with the HB5, because we exceed. So thank you to the administration and to the principals and the counselors for making that happen. Thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. Earls?
Yes, Dr. Calabrese, it's very obvious that our writing is weak, and we're putting everything in place to make sure.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
We've been a lot of professional development with teachers. Phenomenal, we need to support the teachers.
Yes, sir.
Training. So we've been doing the Writing Academy. Also, we've been, our assessments, as you saw from Maloney's not here, our mastery in writing went up. That in the Thursday packet, our governance. So, but a lot of focus from the principals on writing, especially across the curriculum.
And with that hand with love reading.
Yes, ma'am.
And
thinking.
Thank you. Speak. Thank you. Yes, those were all our top. Thank you, Dr. Beth Melvis, for remembering.
I have a question in regards to, I believe it was Algebra 2 being dropped. How are we addressing that and making, I know it was dropped out of the House Bill requirements under House Bill 5. As a district, what are we doing to make sure we continue to have students?
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. So it does become an optional test that our students take, but it does measure college readiness. So working under the guidance of Dr. Galaviz, we are also opting into that option and looking at avenues that we use through the high school and Ms. Clausau and her team to look at college readiness. So although it is not a required assessment, I know our district as a whole looks at that option to measure college readiness.
Have we seen a decrease, or are we?
I can answer that.
Okay.
So last year was actually, Ms. Rodriguez, the only year that we did the Algebra 2. And when we looked at, kids, what we were really looking at is kids who had not passed TSI, to see if, by taking the Algebra 2, if we could get them to be able to be college ready and take some of that. It was not a significant increase. The kids who failed TSI did not do well on the algebra, because you had to make there was a certain score that they had to make to be considered. It wasn't just pass, it was pass and make this amount. And we had less than 30 kids that met that hadn't passed TSI, or that met that minimum. So this year we have focused more of our efforts on TSI under the guidance of Dr. Galavis, really pushing that for our dual credit. And TSI is going to be changing. Instead of having the writing and the reading separate, they're going to incorporate it into one test starting next year, so that if a student's strength is not necessarily writing, if their strength is reading, even if that writing score is a little bit lower, that higher grade in the reading will be able to average that out, so they'll be able to take those dual credit classes. So we did not, myself and Ms. Ariano, after meeting with Ms. Rocha and with Dr. Kearney, did not see a significant added value in giving and stressing our kids out with yet another test. So this year we are not giving it. We focused our attention on TSI.
That hopefully within the new changes of TSI will allow us to increase that number.
Correct. And we did have freshmen taking Education 1300 this year at the high school, because they were able to qualify for that. And we're working with that math, so that after because they need the Algebra 2 class before they can take the math TSI. And so finishing that strong, that math, that Algebra 2, having strong teachers in there, so those kiddos can take those dual credit math classes junior and senior year.
And as a middle school component, we also look at an accelerated curriculum, Mr. Rodriguez, where our 8th graders will be taking Algebra 2 and are on target to take Algebra 2 and Algebra 1 at the middle school, making us the only district in the region that is attempting to do such a feat, and also of getting adequate statistics for that and presenting to the board when you attend.
And we had a grant this year to be able to help us with that.
That's correct. I know, going back to some of the comments that were made on the reading and writing in regards to what we produced, and in regards to the district's goals that we've formulated, go hand in hand with that, right? Increasing the rigor, especially looking at reading and writing, also focusing on the mastery of the content, and not making sure it's just the path. So, thank you all for what you continue to do.
Thank you, sir. Right. Mr. Mayor, just a question on your one graph where our Timothy students making growth. On the grade 6 ELA reading and the grade 6 mathematics. Can you explain that?
Yes, Mr. Frank, thank you for your question. When it comes to 6th grade, across the state, there's different models that we do for 6th grade. They're self-contained, which we as a district used to follow in the past, in the days of Ms. Brigham's principalship at my campus. 6th grade was self-contained, which, as Mr. Rodriguez was saying, really focused on allowing kids to pass their 2 exams and not really making and encompassing student ready for middle school. So you see that drop. There's always a drop in transition years when it comes from the elementary to the middle school, particularly because they are going from a self-contained classroom. They're going from a campus that is focused on the needs of the child at that age, and coming in to a place where now they're departmentalized, going through different classrooms. And I know our elementary schools are doing a great job in helping us train them for that. As middle school teams, we're also working on transition teams to ensure that drop does not occur. It does occur for state schools across the state when it comes to moving away from that junior high concept of 7 and 8 and doing 6, 7, and 8. So rather than seeing the drop at 7, we see it at 6, but we still have the opportunity to remediate and get our students ready for high school.
Okay. I thought we were addressing that this past year. That transitioning, I guess they were going to start doing some of that
The decomfort class?
Yeah.
We are, and that's why when you look at our previous course to now, we are making gains. It wasn't a huge jump to put us past the state and the region, but even when it comes to writing, when it comes to everything that we are tracking, we are making those gains and slowly but surely getting to our goal that is, as we do in science, to just continue to be at the vanguard of the pack and then being able to show that that's the reason why we are the top rated district in the region.
Anybody else? Nothing. And you know, like and obviously the board has seen fit to take a look at our goals. That's why we're focusing on the reading our week and that. I mean, and I wouldn't call it weak, we're still losing, but we do need to start. That's why the board is focused on those. The administration is focused on focusing our goals, our governance training on these issues that we feel we need the most.
No, I was just saying, going from 5th grade to that elementary to middle school is just reading this ruler about getting children valued, connected, inspired. We kind of just up to middle school. Now you can go from class to class, responsible, and you can. So I think we do a better job welcoming kids, all kids, to not only the academics, but that's when, as Ms. Whittle will know, that's that time when their identity starts coming out. Some are in sports, some not in sports, some are different. And Dr. Ray, your middle school for shaking your head, and so just have more opportunity to bring kids together more as a community, and not just academic. Again, there's not, some things are more important than academic. Identifying, be valued, bonded, love. So it's that opportunity.
All set. All right. Ms. Earls.
Dr. Galladay, a dovetail to what you said, we had historically, it was a bridge program from elementary school to middle school to try and help that, because it is key. I remember myself, I still think I have nightmares about that. Find out longer, so we don't have to do that anymore. But do we still have a bridge program?
We have bridge like from 9th grade, 8th to 9th. I think they have bridge at school, but a lot of times the kids that need to go to bridge don't go to bridge.
Okay.
So the majority, because it's summer. I don't even want to go to school in the summer. So a lot of it is really developing those relationships and maybe doing it in May. You have the kids, so bringing them over. I know a lot of times you go over, the 8th graders go over to the high school during school time. It's a big old cheerleaders and band to welcome them. This claps out talks about. And you bring over the 5th graders so we can start bringing them over, learn about the school, and they have the 8th graders walking around and showcase them. But I think that it's more than just where your locker is. It's about sense of belonging.
Well, yeah.
And getting these kids involved, not only into school but themselves.
I like to feel connected. So yes, and we will have a program this summer. I know there's got to be somebody in this room who's kids going to middle school that will address that. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Is there a reason there aren't sports available in 6th grade?
It's UI.
Couldn't hear you.
Sports in 6th grade.
No, we're not.
There aren't sports available in 6th grade.
I know. As an I just had this conversation with my daughter. I have a 6th grade grandson, and he's asking her and asked me. But anyway, it's under UIL. It's under the auspices of the state organization that we can offer intramural, but we cannot offer it, the competitiveness. You know, we can't put them in. It's not Tiny Teal. It's every school district in Texas public ed. So it's the UIL, it's universal and scholastic. Yes. So it's UIL. Go to UIL.com it, we can't spend monies on it, we can't have the kids participate, nor can we have different, you know, like I couldn't go to Socorro and say, hey, let's just have something going on, because it's against the rules and would affect how our kids play 7th and 8th grade. So it is, you're right, it's unfair, you know, but it's not, and so I can beseech upon the middle schools to try to come up with intramurals, which we try to do, and have, and that's where PE is so important in 6th grade, because they teach them the foundations of basketball, of softball, of baseball, of volleyball, to get the kids ready for 7th grade. So I guess you could say that 6th grade is a learning time for a lot of the kids that have never been able to get to those sports, and parents that haven't been able to sign them up for those. And so that's what 6th grade in the current middle school situation in Texas is for. I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Thank you for it.
Mr. Pat. Ms. Plaza,
Yes.
on the report of violent and criminal incidents on campuses, I want to take advantage of this time now that there's a few more people here. I know the last time we had that meeting at the high school about this issue, 2 parents, I think it was.
Correct.
Can you give us a little bit of a presentation, a little bit, maybe a 5-minute, what we discussed at that?
Sure.
About some of the issues that are impacting you and your campus, especially at the high school.
Sure.
And I want people to listen to this because it's so important that when you call these meetings, 1 or 2 parents show up. There's more officers and counselors that will show up than parents. And it's critically important that parents hear this and the input. Thank you.
So at the high school, our biggest challenges right now are making sure that we have cameras and the equipment that we need to be able to see what's going on and to do our investigations. We're just like any typical high school. I'm very proud of the fact, though, that we have only had 2 fights on campus this year, which is quite an accomplishment for a high school of 1,500. We work very hard to keep your children safe. I take that responsibility very seriously. We have police officers there every day, and they help us checking doors, locking gates, monitoring, being outside. As a matter of fact, today there was a young man that was trying to come in one of the doors to go visit a teacher, and security caught him, and the doors were locked. And our kids were walking by and wasn't letting the person in. They reported there's somebody at that door, and security went and got him. So we're working really hard with that. We're getting new vape monitor things for our restrooms and our hallways, because vaping is a huge thing at all high schools. I mean, you can just turn on the news or do a report on vaping, and you'll see about kids that are vaping and things like that. So I think the biggest thing for us is talk to your kids. Okay, our voices should be supporting your message at home, not us being the only message that they're getting. And making sure that you talk to them about good decisions and reporting things that they see. We do that anonymously, so we don't ever single anybody out. Anytime we get a new report, I always blame it on the teachers. So a teacher came and told me that they saw you, and the kids think that the teachers are the tattletales. But it keeps everybody safe, and it creates a safe environment for people to report. So anytime we do have these meetings, we would highly encourage everybody to come out. If you have a student at the high school, or if you can't make it, send us an email or send us your feedback, and we'll be more than happy to share that with you. Our security does an outstanding job. Chief Carrillo does a fantastic job making sure that we have the support and the resources that we need at our games, support and resources that we need at school on a day-to-day basis. So I feel like part of our vision for our school is to create a safe and orderly environment where teachers can teach and students can learn. And I believe that we are doing that successfully every day. And our kids respond well, and there's a lot of trust between the students and the adults on the campus, and I really do like that. Question?
Thank
Anything
you.
else clarified? No? Good?
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
And along the line of the questioning on the sports for the sixth grade, you know, there are some other alternatives rather than in the school. Our community, we have some people in our community that do have sports that are competitive with other. The Little League, we have also the YSO. So you might want to look into, you know, it's not every sport, but we have these soccer and football and baseball, so it's, and softball. So you might want to take advantage of having your. I know I tried to get in when I was in sixth grade to play sports. And some of that I could understand. They told me back then that it was a safety issue. There's some sixth graders who probably play with the seventh graders, but not all of them.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Trout.
as well, I had the opportunity yesterday to speak with a lady who represents Parks and Recreation. And she told me that the park that is next to Cantillo Middle School, Gallegos Park, they're gonna start to work so soon, so we'll be ready by summer. Even the swimming pool will be ready. So it's something that we really to go and try to go to Parks and Recreation, because they're gonna have all sports, they're gonna have everything already installed, and they are really working so hard for that. And something good, like I said, the swimming pool will be ready.
Okay, well, good. All right. Anybody else, any other comments, public? All right, hearing none, that takes care of the agenda item. Sonia.
Yes, sir. Item 5, Board of Trustee Business. A, discussion and possible action regarding the approval of a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Cantillo Independent School District to build an open and welcome district. Mr. Rodriguez.
Just real quick, I believe the resolution.
Which one did you say?
Just whenever the computer goes archive.
Right, do we have any?
Is there any questions? If not, I'll make a motion to approve it. I'll read it into the record.
Questions, comments? Ms. Brigham.
Yes, I support this resolution. One thing, and I think Mr. Rodriguez, he did a very good job as far as, you know, I know we have the mission statement and the vision statement in there. One of the things that I was thinking, I'm not sure, I'd like your input in this, is, you know, the community, I know you had it, is all the things of the school district expresses strong support for population, economic growth, welcoming all residential and commercial development in district boundaries. The one thing that I think that might strengthen this is if you could put, you know, I don't know how to put it, like socially responsible development. I thought I saw it, but you know, I'm thinking, especially what I was thinking, we have a couple of, well, I know Decatur Heights, they don't even have a pocket park. A pocket park, P-A-R-K park. I don't know.
A pocket park.
A little park. But you know, they don't even have that. But I went to Desert Springs yesterday, and I drove around, and I was impressed that they had some parks there. So what I'm afraid of is, and then I look at, you know, we don't have enough parks. We expect only, and I think bottom line is that the community votes us in for the community. So I think we need a little bit more of the quality of life in that. I don't know where to put it.
Well, it says right here, the district will promote the future development, that's third to the last.
Thank you.
Of land use that ensures a safe, pleasant, and economical environment.
That's where I thought we could put it.
Residential, industrial, and public activities.
And it has some green space.
I think that was, I did like that, but I think that we could just add you know, I think if we could just add some verbiage there, because I think what we're saying in what, Mr. Coronado was just saying about, you know, we expect everything at Gallegos Park, and now we do have, thank goodness, development also. But when you see how much development's coming in, they're not increasing the park.
They have to, in regards to, if it's in the city development, they have to increase. Now, there's some areas that.
You're right, you're absolutely right.
But they can pay a fee and live there.
Yeah, well, anyways, I just thought, that's the only thing I thought we could change, if we could have one, that, you know, cause I did like, that's where I think it's exactly where it could be put. Because of that one bullet that you did have. And, I think everything else was fine, because it's the only other thing, but I don't know if it's appropriate. Why I was talking for responsiveness to the community. I know we don't have any authority. But one of the things is, I really would like that economic, and I think you have something in there, economic development and growth, and, you know, it should be help our community members, you know, the employability and things like that. But mainly it was one thing the only thing that was glaring to me is because when I see the new development going in, and you're exactly right, if they're within the city, we're getting a little bit more, but we have a lot of our area that's not in the city, that's being developed. So I was just thinking we could add that, and then, you know, we don't have any power, but at least we could say we want more space for children.
I think that's a wonderful.
More park space. You know what, I think the solution to that is that we probably need to start getting more involved with both the county and the city. Those are the animals that.
I agree with you.
You know, and while the city has, they've passed, I guess they've passed an ordinance that, or rules and regulations with passing bonds, that a certain percentage of their bonds is gonna go towards parks in the city. They don't do that for parks.
They don't do that for parks, and you know.
Maybe we need to go.
Chair.
We need to go to the city council and say, hey, guys, when you're thinking about passing your next bond, why don't you consider putting a percentage of it to buying land for green space instead of, this isn't gonna hurt the bond, but if we go to that route, I mean, they've done it and earmarked it for art throughout the city. Why not for parks?
And Mr. Chair, I did speak to the developer,
Yes.
and he said, well, you know, we have to pay taxes, and we have to pay fees, and all that, and he felt it wasn't his real well to, you know, be putting in parks. And I just, a developer. And so, you know, we don't have, like you said, we don't have a whole bunch of, input, but I think if we could, this is a great idea. I think we should say, you know what, but also, we need stuff for kids. So that's my opinion. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else? Sir?
I agree, nice resolution, but.
I want to give credit to staff.
Oh, well, I figured as much, I didn't think you wrote it yourself. There's something that draws on my heart with the first two, you know, with our first two statements, we didn't hear it's happening here. And I'd like to see that something is done so what we heard tonight does not continue to happen. That those first two statements are truthful statements instead of lofty statements that need to be true. And I agree with Ms. Brigham that we do need, you know, safe, healthy neighborhoods is good, but parks is with open space somewhere in here. We can, I mean, back to, we have no authority over this, so open space is, we can write as we please it. And I think that it's really great that we've got this commercial and industrial component in here.
I do too.
Because we are sorely lacking The whole county of El Paso is lacking so badly in commercial. The residents, all of us, are picking up all the tax bills for everything because we do not have enough commercial tax.
I like that.
So the commercial is, I think, something that is really an industrial. And this whole upper area up here is a trade zone. And we need to bring that forward. I don't think enough companies understand it. For 120 days, you can leave your goods in our district. And that's really important, that we bring that front and center and maybe, cash in on getting some industrial and some commercial businesses. We've done a good job, or somebody has. We've got some coming in, but to increase that would be very nice. So I would like to see something green, and maybe staff could come back, Mr. Rodriguez, with a little revision.
I was gonna add the revision on that is to, and public activities to include outdoor space. Open space. At that same.
Green, something green in there.
Open space and green pretty much.
I guess green's hard in El Paso.
It's hard for us to do green.
Yeah, it's hard to do green, but just again, it's a law for
the
the
open space.
But,
I would,
okay.
but I think we know what we're talking about.
Okay.
I would agree with open space because I think that's, I would feel very comfortable.
So that's what I would do, and that's my motion.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. So we're gonna add
I'll
that.
read it out loud and then include that.
All right.
Just for the record. So, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Canantillo Independent School District to build an open and welcome district. Whereas the mission of the Canantillo Independent School District is to create rigorous student-centered classrooms which develop future-ready students to compete in a global economy and thrive in a multicultural world. And our vision is the Canantillo ISD is a premier district preparing tomorrow's best today and innovative future-focused learning opportunities for every student. And whereas Canantillo ISD does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, gender, sex, national origin, age, disability, military status, genetic formation, or any other basis prohibited by law in providing education services, activities, and programs. And whereas expansive population and economic growth of the El Paso region is occurring within the district's boundaries with rapid and residential and commercial development. And whereas Canantillo ISD welcomes such growth as it will bring new families into the community, new students into its schools, and new businesses into its neighborhoods. And whereas the district supports residential development that provides safe, healthy, and affordable housing accommodations and meet the needs of the district students and families living in our community. And whereas the district will promote the future development of land use to ensure safe, pleasant, and economic environment for residential, commercial, industrial, public activities to include open spaces. Therefore, be it resolved that the Canantillo Independent School District expresses its strong support for the population and economic growth, welcoming all residential and commercial development within the district's boundaries. Therefore, be it resolved, according to its mission and vision, Canantillo ISD enthusiastically embraces its responsibility to educate all students, and that the district is committed to ensuring that its schools are welcoming and safe place for its students and their families.
Good job.
Excellent. PIO, Andrew, Liza.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, for bringing this up.
And Mr. Coronado, I know that earlier when we had public comment, you had told our speaker that she might have some input, and I think that there's some things that are very specific here with the board's approval, maybe.
Sure, if anybody would like, from the audience, public would like to comment on the board, motion before to approve this resolution.
And it's true. We need to, we don't just need to recite these our vision and mission statements, and of course our policy with respect to the issues of being not just a welcoming, but a district that encourages
multicultural development in our district that improves and, welcomes, diversity in our district. We should be inclusive of that and very protective of that, and make sure that our students also are doing that, because, I know administration and teachers strive to do that, but we also need to get our students, we know how cool some of our very talented students can be. We were all students once, right?
Yes.
And so, we need to try and change that environment for our kids to make sure that they're more accepting of the differences. Today's the anniversary of the, I guess it was, liberation of Auschwitz camp. Okay. So look at what happened to some of the people in the work because of the differences that other people didn't accept. Okay. So we need to be mindful of those things. Our government needs to be mindful of those things. So we will strive to be inclusive of that and live up to our creed and our mission. Yes, ma'am.
I think when we talk about safe schools, in my mind, we're talking about physically safe. I think we really need to emphasize the emotional safety of all the students that are within the district. It's not just my daughter that struggles in this area. You can go into any one of our schools, you can talk to, I would say, at least 2 out of 10 parents, and they're going to tell you of a situation that was either emotionally disturbing to their child or, how do I say it nicely? I think that the adults in the situation also need to learn how to have an empathy towards the students and not be condescending. We need to be mindful that they deserve our respect too. I don't know how you word that in that, but I'm seeing physical safety, but I'm not feeling emotional safety for them.
I think that includes everything, and we are now mandated by the state to provide more with respect to social and emotional learning and services.
One of the things in some of the conferences we've been to, especially around equity, and a lot of it talks about race, and it's important for us. A good friend of mine talks about. He's the president of Fort Worth ISD, where they've done several initiatives of including mirror imaging in the curriculum between all different types, like the right history of African Americans as well as Latinos, as well as how do you incorporate that within the curriculum to make sure that I actually did my a paper in college on language, and what it was about was my end up, there's good stuff that come out of dual language, and at the end, not only do you have cross-cultural understanding, you have a mutual respect. So how do we take that across not just languages, but every other barrier that we see, so that way I think that helps not only equip our students into what our mission is, but at the same time it's providing the value added of being able to grow in a good way. And that's a lot of the discussions we have had in some of these conferences, and that's what there's some good ideas that I think we can integrate.
And we're glad you brought that up, but to that end, administration and I and Mr. Rodriguez are working on trying to see whether have a community, basically a community, and I guess to talk and invite Mr. Cinto Ramos, and also I'm trying to forget the individual, not Dr. Cruz?
Dr. Cesar Cruz.
Dr. Cesar Cruz, okay, who spoke at the LEO conference, no, the Q, yeah. The Council of Urban School Boards Education conference, and we're trying to see if we can get some invite so we can have our community listen to these individuals about that and how to be, how is it that we need to develop and how do we become more inclusive what things can we learn about history and what is it that we should be doing and are we doing. He was actually he's the first, was it dean of Harvard?
Graduated from Harvard. He was the first Latino to go into the Harvard.
Doctorate education from Harvard. And he's now doing a program in California, working with gangs to get
Foster homes or something.
trying to get them, out of high school and getting them to do good careers. This is with, gangs. Okay, and so he is a fantastic speaker. He's a fantastic individual. And so we want to do this for the community. We're trying to plan this here for next year. And see if we can do something like that and bring it to the board, obviously, before we do that. Ms. Searles.
Yes, Dr. Galavis, we have had in place, and I haven't heard anything, so I'm gonna just ask you for an update. Character counts, different character building programs at the different elementary schools, I believe, yes? Do we extend it to the middle school level?
They have the leader in media at AMS.
Oh, yes.
And CMS. So, again, this is, you can sit up here and be canting, right? And talk and talk and talk. But you need to lead the life that you want. And you, Lord, you're the example of leading the life that you want. Again, what happened, you can put a bunch of words into play. But again, it's still within the educator creed to protect all kids. That's our job, and that's our motto. Every day, that's why I send the principals home, because they're the first ones there to greet the kids. They don't need to be here at a board meeting, because we don't have, well, I'm sorry, Ms. Clapp, you need to go.
No, don't worry, I'm never the first one. We're all good. It's okay. The first one there's already
I just
home.
want to, again, you can sit character counseling program. It's not programs, it's a child being connected.
I agree, sir.
But you again, as a board, have to live that model that also. So.
But we do have,
Yes,
and we
ma'am.
are putting, because we need to invest in what we wanna see. And over the years, we've told you, this is what
Yes,
we
ma'am.
wanna see. Middle school level, yes, leader in need. High school level, Ms. Costello, any?
We actually had a meeting yesterday with the representative from the Leader in Me, because we were looking at maybe having that continuity. So I was also gonna talk with Mr. Judge, because I kind of feel like if we only have one middle school doing it, maybe we should all, if both middle
Everybody
schools.
stay on the same
And then,
thread.
correct. So we were kind of looking at it as how can we incorporate it, where can we use it, and we like it. And so we're doing some research. We're gonna present it to our CIC and look at it at needs assessment and see how we can use it, incorporate it for next year. Because we do, like I'm always talking about positivity and energy bus and no energy vampires and being a champion and what that stands for and what that means. But if we could have something we could use weekly or once a month in some kind of an advisory type period, I think that would be really awesome as well.
Do we have Young Life at the high school?
Yep, I'm gonna go with, I don't know. We have 2 church groups that come in.
Young Life would be.
Probably the other, yes, because I know we have Youth for Christ.
Right.
And maybe the other one, I know there's 2 groups that come in.
Would you tell Dr. Galvez and maybe you could put it in the packet if you have Young
No,
Life?
last week,
I sure will.
Dr. Reyes was at the PIS conference. Schools presented the counselors on anti-bullying.
Correct. And we have just purchased a counseling curriculum for the first time in the 24 years that I've been here. That is actually geared towards social emotional learning, social emotional intelligence, and so our counselors will now be all standardized with their program to be able to address that. So they actually had some training in January when we first got back from Christmas break, and so we are trying to formalize that along the way. And then Dr. Galavis hit the other component, which is PBIS. We're the only district in the region that is district-wide, and the district that has PBIS implemented within our schools for the longest period of time. And so we did have 3 campuses and 4 different presenters from our district that were showcased and presented at PBIS
about the things that we are implementing,
Correct.
so.
We were one of them.
Yes.
Presented the high
Canutillo
school.
High School, Reyes Elementary and Canutillo Elementary were showcase campuses. We had Nancy Torres, who did mental health and, coordinated school health. We had Officer Jenny Monsevalles, who did a vaping, and THC presentation. And then we had Nicole Morales and, 3 other counselors that talked about our counseling program and how we are embedding that through PBIS.
Good, thank you.
Anybody else?
You, well, Dr. Galaviz made a good point with respect to the resolution that's before the board under motion, whether we could include the social emotional learning, but I don't know how we would put it in what part. I guess it could be that we're gonna put that in part of our, right after our two paragraphs at the beginning. Maybe put something like that.
With the social emotional, I was looking at that, Mr. Chair, and I think we can put it in the very last, therefore. I don't.
Yeah, the whereas, not that they're.
Yeah, the whereas.
But, because what I came up with is welcoming, safe, and then put in parentheses, both physical and emotional well-being. And that's it.
Can staff look at it and bring it back to us? I think we're all on the same page. Can they recook the recipe here and come back next month?
I would say after the second paragraph, after the end of the second paragraph.
Yes. If we could put that right underneath where it says activities and programs, is that what you're saying, Coronado?
Yes, right after.
So what we could do is put it there, providing education services, activities and programs, and safety of all students, including both, including both physical and emotional well-being.
But this is mistaken about we are, so.
What do you think, Mr. Chair?
Yes, I think we should, we have to get into that second paragraph.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
I think you need to have another whereas,
Oh, okay.
because again, this is a residential, resolution, but you're gonna have to say it, you have the mission, the vision, so you're gonna have to, in my opinion, not talk to staff, whereas not only the academics and values, but also the social emotional learning of all children.
Yeah.
So,
Very nice.
connect that to have one, that continue on.
Good idea.
Yes.
Okay.
Staff.
I'm okay with that recommendation.
Yeah.
Well, we'll,
That would
bring it together.
I mean, that's pretty much what you said, so I don't find anything.
Okay,
Yes.
that's y'all.
Yeah, we can put that in there, and the other,
Are you going to approve it tonight?
Yeah,
yes.
You need to know what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
we're gonna approve it with what you just said, to include whereas.
You know what he just said?
I don't know that he actually said what your statement was saying.
You know what, it is a resolution, so.
Normally you would bring it back.
Yeah, it is a
Wait,
resolution.
Let's table it for right now, and then you come up with the wording, and then we'll just include it. And then we'll approve it in a bit. It's just one paragraph.
And where do you wanna put it?
After the second paragraph,
That's the second paragraph, sir.
whereas.
Where it says like education services, activities and programs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's,
Mr. Rodriguez has a, parliamentary table.
Yes.
Finalize it and approve it.
Right. And so at this point, Mr. Rodriguez, are you making that a motion to table this until we can, add the language and bring it back to the board next?
Correct.
All right, do we have a second on Mr. Rodriguez's motion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. We're now, voting on table and bring back motion after it's been, the resolution has been amended. Alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. We will table this to a later date. Let's take on the next agenda item.
Yes, sir. Curriculum updates and presentation. A, Canapio ISD Gifted and Talented Program Evaluation School Year 2018-2019 updates.
All right.
Good evening, Board.
Good
The
evening.
first thing I have to present to you, the evaluation from the 18-19 school year. You have it in your packet. It just breaks down the achievement of our gifted and talented students as far as how they specifically scored on their state tests at the elementary level. And then it outlines our AP scores, and AP is part of our advanced academics. You have any student, you don't have to be a gifted and talented student, can join an AP class. It goes through and continues with some of the information about the number of dual credit hours that our students earned and the TSI data. I know you've had this in your packet. Do you have any specific questions that you'd like?
Board, questions?
I just want to make sure that we're more inclusive in regards to the GT program you mentioned. I know that the state legislature also looked at taking out that funding. I don't remember exactly, or they did lower some of the funding right to the GT program, and they put it into
It's in the basic fund now.
yeah. So I think one of the goals I want to see in the discussion we've had is to making sure that we're more inclusive of the student body, to increase the work year overall for all students.
I agree. Totally agree. As my just share with you about that.
Yep.
To be more inclusive as well, not so restricted, because I see, I'm sorry, Chairman, it's like in Jose Damian is 7.4 and Diana Davenport is 6.8 only. In comparison to Canutillo Elementary School is 10.8. Why is the difference? We're talking about GT students and campuses.
Per campus.
Per campus.
The percentages is based on the number of students. Some of your larger campuses will have more students.
Right, but Diana Davenport is a big one too, and why is?
To be quite honest with you, a lot of times neighborhood has something to do with it. If parents are more aware of what a GT program is, they're a little more proactive about requesting testing for their child. So there are some things that we need to do to help with that.
And do you promote this more in the campuses so the parents they could?
We do promote it. It's one of the points I have to share with you on the PowerPoint that's coming up. We have it on our webpage. I have some plans to increase that promotion as well.
That would be nice, so to be more inclusive. Thank you very much.
And actually, I think Davenport and Childress are two small elementaries.
That's fine. Okay. Thank you very much. Clarification. Thank you.
All right. Any more questions, Board?
Just a comment, the proposed changes to the services, particularly at the middle school, sound magnificent.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me jump into that. HB3 made some changes to the Gifted and Talented program, as well as the state of Texas published a new state plan for gifted education in 2019. So it is affecting us a little bit. For the most part, we had a really great GT program in place. There's not a lot that we actually have to change to what we're doing.
Right.
Mostly they just said, oh, you need to do this, and I'm like, oh, we're already doing it. So that's a good thing. They've made some slight revisions in the wording on processes, things that we already have in place, as far as the testing of students, the identification of students. If a student is having difficulty, how to reassess them, how to furlough them, give them a break from the program, things like that.
Sure.
One of the things which you mentioned earlier, we are required to have a GT awareness session. That's what I'll be looking at for next school year, early probably August. It's a general session to invite all parents, not just parents who already have students in the GT program. One of the other things is we do have to certify our program with TEA now. More changes will come on that. I have asked to be a pilot school in that program, developing what that document will look like. As of right now, this year, we just pretty much in Pinks had to say, yes, we have GT students, and yes, we have a program, so it was really easy this year. Next year, I'm not sure it'll be quite so easy. And then based on those, let's see, we jump to changes to the state plan for education. I highlighted some of the things for you. They're asking us to now assess all kindergarten students for GT services. So we have a plan in place this year. We'll be doing that in March this year at the elementary level. And what's already been talked about tonight, the social and emotional needs of gifted and talented students need to be addressed in a more formal way in all of our classes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms. Burke.
Thank you, Ms. Taka. I don't think everyone knows this, but GT kids are at risk.
Absolutely they are.
And a lot of people don't know that.
Can you explain?
Sure. I have a freaky grandson. And he is at risk. I can tell, you know, as an educator.
Yes.
At-risk kids feel alienated. So in other words, they're smart here, but they're not here. They have self-confidence. A lot of GT kids do not have self-confidence because they think they have to excel in everything they do. So they are considered in P's for years, for decades. I know when I was principal, I know we had to work at that because Ms. Reyes said that to me, and when she first said it to me, I had to look it up, but I wasn't sure she was telling me the truth. But at risk, they are truly at risk, and it's because of their social and emotional needs. Academic needs, they're not at risk, sir. But what they are, they have more cutting incidences with GT, unfortunately suicide, ideation from GT. And you know, sometimes parents of GT, sometimes they're, I don't think to say this negatively, but sometimes they're blind to that because they're so focused on, did you get that A? God forbid they got a B. So they are at risk, and it's not Texas, it's considered an at-risk indicator. My grandson's in Tennessee, and he's in 3rd grade, and you can see the difference is that he won't want to do things. He can speak 3 languages. He reads at a 9th grade level. He does Algebra 1. He's one of those super kids, but I'm telling you, he can't ride a bike. He cannot communicate with kids. And it's sad. And, you know, thank goodness I've gotten them, told them to go get that book, because I had to show them. So they really are at risk. So I thank you for doing that, but I do think it has to be more, like you said, definitive. I don't know exactly what word you use, I agreed with it though. And so, but I just wanted the board to know, so if you hear that, I don't want you to think, it's a real thing. Thank you, Matt, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Brown.
What grade levels take this test?
We currently test our students kindergarten through 5th grade. At that point, when they move on to middle school, we're in open enrollment, so our advanced courses, any student who's willing to try can take that. Pardon me?
Can they do self? Do they ask to be in GT?
Yes, they can ask to take the advanced
They can ask
program.
to be in GT. They can ask to take the test, sir.
Students can ask to take the test. We have a testing calendar for the elementary. If a parent or a child requests it at 6 through 12, we do it. Very rarely do we have that request. At that point, they're already in their advanced courses. There isn't a lot of need.
So there's no formal training to get into this AP?
No.
It's just, they score it above that grade and they're placed in the AP?
Actually, the score doesn't even matter. If a student or child or parent wants to give a pre-AP class or an AP class a chance, they can.
For GT, Mr. Sherman?
Yes, Ms. Powell.
For GT in elementary school, do they need to be recommended by the teachers?
They can be
Because it used to
recommended.
be like that, right?
They can be recommended by anyone, a teacher, a
Anyone.
librarian, the principal, another student, their
But it's-
parent, anybody.
But they need to be recommended. For example, if I'm mother of a kid that is in elementary school, I need to wait until my son or daughter is being recommended. If not, they're not gonna have an opportunity to participate?
No, as a parent, you can recommend them.
I can recommend,
Yes.
okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Does that increase the rigor of the classes that they're gonna take?
It does. It does in elementary school. Our GT program in elementary school is a pull-out program. We have 3 GT teachers who service our 6 elementary campuses. And they spend 2 days a week at each elementary campus with instruction. It's a pull-out program. The GT teachers go into the regular classroom and pull the GT students together so that they're a cohort. And they receive additional instruction along the lines, it's called the Texas State Performance Standards. It's project-based learning. There's a lot of hands-on for the students. It's a chance for them to grow in the areas that are of interest to them. One of the things about GT students is they do need a lot of choice, and that helps them grow. So we have that in place. I do have some ideas on how I'd like to improve that for next year to help strengthen students. I have a slide on that if you want to jump to the slide that says elementary. If you'll look over at the, yes, I would like to keep, yes sir.
Do you have a breakdown of how many kids at each campus are in GT?
Yes, I do.
Do you have it as part of the presentation?
It's on the first document,
Yes,
evaluation.
and it's by percentage also, per enrollment.
So the biggest change that I'd like to see at elementary school is to create 4th and 5th grade sections where GT students spend either the full day or a half day with a teacher who's GT qualified. And that would allow students to focus more on their actual gift to increase, they have a potential. A lot of times GT students have a potential either in the math and sciences or the humanities. And if we can open this up to 4th and 5th grade, they can spend more time focusing on that gift, which would then in turn prepare them more for the pre-AP classes in middle school and on.
Can you give me an example of a project-based curriculum or program that you might do at elementary school?
Sure, one of our grades, I think it's 2nd grade, we tried to pick all the units this year that have a STEM base, a math or a science base. They've been working with water this year. So they have looked at water from every angle that you possibly can. They've created their own, they took bottles and mesh and they created their own water filtration devices. They've studied not only the rain cycle, but aquifers. So they really dug deep into it. I can say in only seeing their GT teacher twice a week, there's some gaps in that, so that slows it down a little bit. But at the end of the year, our GT students will be putting on a showcase. I'll send you all an invitation so that you can see those if you'd like, to see the final products that they produce.
Yeah. I was reading a book, Prepare, Bill Gates.
Oh, yes.
But he makes a big issue of this project-based education. And I guess it's a instructor, teacher, superintendent of a program, project-based. And it's very interesting that you bring this up here. I didn't know you had that. So, but what I'm more trying to understand is the question Mrs. Strauss brought up is, does the student have to be recommended? So the parent can request that, hey, I want my child to be
tested.
To be tested.
To be tested.
There's a
So
series of tests.
what does the test consist of?
There's a nonverbal portion of the test, so language is not an issue for students. It's about, it has shapes and figures, and it tests their critical thinking and their ability to reason. That's the primary test, that's what we're looking for. They also take a test in reading and math, science, social studies, to give them some more data. There's a parent questionnaire where the parent provides information about their child. There's a teacher questionnaire. We look at a student's portfolio, a collection of the student's work. All of that is viewed by a selection committee on the campus. who looks at each student case by case and decides if they have the potential, that they show GT potential, and if that program will benefit that student. So they're looking at it student by student. So I can tell you right now, this year so far, we've tested 129 students in elementary school, and 41 of those students have been placed in GT for this year. So they'll begin the GT program. We're still testing right now.
Sparky, I've got a question. Is this provided in both languages, all in English?
GT is only in English. However, our GT instructors are bilingual, and when necessary, they can help the students in Spanish. But the program is an English program.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Do you have a breakdown of the ethnicity of the students that are being selected for this program?
I do. That's on the same page that's in your packet. This program, I think, said 21.
And it's got decided also the percentages per enrollment.
But this is percentage of enrollment, okay, in the program.
Yes.
Okay.
I can tell you the state of Texas has approximately 8.5% of the students in the Gifted and Talented program. We're running more 11% of our students are in the Gifted and Talented program. So we are doing a good job of finding students. I do believe that there's some others out there that we need to find. One of the things that we need to be looking at are students who have, our language learners, are students, they call it twice exceptional. These are students who have a disability but are also GT. A lot of students who are gifted and talented also are dyslexic, so they struggle with their reading, and that will mask their ability to take a test. And
because one of the things that I was reading in the book is that a lot of the parents don't. They put, well, my concern is if a child has to test to be able to get into this program, what differentiates between the ones that pass and the ones that don't? Preparation, social economic conditions, natural.
It's the, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
Because I'm gonna tell you, Ms. Parker knows, I recommended my second son, my first son is GT, my second son, I recommended him several times. He just couldn't, it just didn't happen. And I went to Ms. Parker and said, can you explain this test to me? Can you explain the battery of tests? What is it that, because the kid can do math in his head like there's no tomorrow. And I don't understand that he's not connecting to it.
What aspects of the test, or what subjects of the test, what comprises the test?
The biggest part of the test is what we call the nonverbal test. It's the reasoning, the critical thinking. It's looking at shapes and pictures and trying to determine basically what would come next with the pattern. So they have to have the ability to see patterns. Yes.
But that, to me, that indicates that some kids from an economic viewpoint, don't have the resources available to them to be able to associate shapes and everything. I know I provide my grandkids with all sorts of books and things, science and sharks and stars and graphs and all of that, trying to incorporate these thoughts in their head. Some kids don't have that opportunity, don't have that resource. So those kids are not being given the opportunity to get into these project-based education is, my understanding, is really good. But we're not giving those kids that don't have that economic resource the opportunity to get into these project-based classes. What's to keep us from not giving a test and getting some of these kids?
So I can address that. One of the things that we do is that we continue to test through 5th grade. So we do have students who've tested every year, and the hope is that even though they may not be receiving the books and things at home, that they're growing in school, and so at some point they'll be ready for that test. One of the things that's changing for this year is we're going to assess all of our kindergarten students. So every kindergarten student in our district, their teacher will look at them and fill out a one-page assessment looking for gifted and talented characteristics. And from that, we'll create a pool to test the kindergarten students. One of the things that I'd like to see us move towards in our district at some point is perhaps doing testing all of our second graders. It's at this point, it's a staffing and financial need, and I'm slowly trying to build the program.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
I see exactly what you're talking about.
But you also have to remember that the test is adapted to the level that that student is at that grade level.
Right.
So kindergartners, they don't test the kindergartners till towards the end of the year because they want them to have that opportunity of having instruction up until the time that the test is in the spring, correct? So, I mean, the mark is as equitable as it can possibly be for students in that it addresses their level, tests them at their level based on the instruction that they've already had.
Are we addressing this issue with parents and somehow communicating this to them that this opportunity exists, but that they have a responsibility to provide some of these resources to those kids so that they can develop that ability to get into these programs? I don't know if we're communicating that to the parents. But my question, does this continue on to the middle school and the high school?
So at middle school and high school, the program changes slightly. Now in our advanced classes, we're not going to call them GT classes anymore, they're advanced. And in an advanced class, GT students will take the advanced class, but other students now who perhaps didn't qualify for GT can now say, hey, I'd like to give it a try and take the advanced class. Because what you'll have is a group of students who are high achievers. They do really well in their grades, but they have not passed the GT test. So in middle school, it's their opportunity now to shine. And what Ms. Brigman was talking about with them being at-risk students, I can tell you those high-achieving students, those are the nice students. Those are the students we want, that the teachers love. Those are the ones who do everything you say.
Bring the bar up to even the GT kids.
Yes, they show the GT kids some of the organizational skills that they need. So that's what happens at 6th through 12th grade.
So, prime example, my second child, he's now a 6th grader. He's in all the pre-AP, the advanced courses. Even though he didn't qualify for GT, he's now taking the rigor of those classes.
Not even grandpa could change it.
I'm sorry?
Not even grandpa could change it.
Nope. Absolutely not.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Do you have any other questions that were on the presentation?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good
Thank
information.
you.
Thank you.
And just a note on what you're talking about, I guess it could be cultural, economic, or racial bias in some of these tests. SAT is now looking at that, they're revising, and so is some of the other testing. Some of the other tests being revised for that.
I was looking at this in the same view that I was looking at the TSI test. Because last time we were here, they said the TSI is given, and I asked, well, are some of these kids given the opportunity to prepare for it? No, we don't. We just throw the test in math. Well, have you had a chance to given this kid a chance to take the test in Algebra 1 or Advanced Algebra? No, we haven't. Well, the kid's gonna fail, no matter what. And failure, a lot of kids can't handle, and that turns them off. And tell that within themselves, you know what, I don't want nothing. And then there's a big, a program that my wife was telling me that with girls, math is a big issue for girls at a certain age. And my wife was saying, this program, we have to listen to it and read it, because if you give a girl, maybe I'm generalizing, a test in math, say the TSI in math, she doesn't pass it. In the sense that confirms to a lot of girls that girls are not gonna make it in math. And that's one of the shortcomings of our economic today. Our school girls need to get into the same engineering, science programs at college, but we need to catch them at the lower levels. But if we're giving them a TSI test, not giving them a chance to prepare for the test, and they fail the test, they're gonna bomb out and say, you know what, I don't want any part of it. That's why I was concerned about this testing for the GT. How many of our kids get the opportunity to learn about these things that you're testing them in?
If you'd like, Mr. Payan, I can put together some samples of what the test looks like, if you'd like, so you can see it.
Put it in the Thursday packet, I guess, so everyone can see it.
Just so you have an idea of what that nonverbal test looks like. I think that may help you understand the testing process.
You know, it's just my, I guess, cultural bias, suspicion of
But no, it's
the
true.
system
Yeah.
that I grew up in.
Yes, true.
Okay.
I grew up in it too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Earls?
Yes, you know, all three of my sons were GT students, but Dr. Reyes is getting to a point that very simply put is, just because you're smart doesn't make you GT. GT used to be, correct me if I'm wrong, recommended special education. Because you're special, you have special needs, you're different. It doesn't particularly mean you're smarter than the rest. It just means you're different than the rest.
Gifted.
You are gifted.
In something.
In something, and that's why they do all these shapes. And when you see them, see, I could never be gifted program, because when I see this, I'm gonna tell you, that's a cut. That is never going to be turned into a flying saucer. The gifted child would instantly know this was probably gonna be a flying saucer. It's really, you know, the line of demarcation is not intelligence. It's a gift. They're
You know,
just
I mean,
different.
If you don't mind my disagreeing with you, I refuse to accept that the child is gifted. I understand gifted, I understand that. But that there's a test to determine gifted and not gifted, I refuse to accept.
I didn't, you know, I didn't write it, but I guess I've
You know,
been.
because I've seen too many kids that were deemed non-achievers in school and go on to blow through the
They're
sky.
usually the gifted ones.
Yeah.
Those are generally to be the gifted ones.
The project-based education program, it made a lot of sense to me, because in life you go through jobs and incidents that you learn along that you didn't learn in school. But that in and of itself provided you the opportunity to see that based on that project-based experience, there's so much more out there that you can pick up and achieve that. So my concern is we're denying some of these kids that we are deeming not gifted because of a test. I don't know, maybe I'm.
I think
Mr. Chair, I have another question.
You know, Mr. Payan, I understand. Right, Mr. Payan, what you're saying is true. But what you're saying, Mr. Payan, is true, especially when you talked about the socioeconomic, we're Title I school. And what we're looking at, and I know, Dr. Reyes and I, and what she does with the parent liaisons, what she does with, the backpack program and things like that, is because you're trying to bridge that gap as far as, yes, in a low-income housing, the print is like at next to nothing, you know, and that's the printed word. But that's why the schools, you had said, the schools public ed is an equalizer. And that's what we're trying to do, especially in a Title I. Being in charge of libraries when I was here, making sure that they bought the right libraries, they got enough money to bring in, have the right information for those kids, because that's why you have to test them at different levels, at different grade levels, is because the equalizer is education to bring them up. Secondly, with project-based learning, with your other concern, and being a person that was a math, the only woman in the College of Education, most of my classes in engineering. But what now is project-based learning, we have the STEM, and then we have the STEAM. both STEM and STEAM that are done at our schools are project-based learning, sir. So I don't want you to think, and it's a great initiative. So I want you to feel a little bit calmer, because every point you brought in was valid, every single one. And we didn't have that project-based learning. I did, you know, I mean, because, and I don't even think it existed, even though we were in the school with all the immigrants. You know, I mean, it was, you know, there was like 8 different languages spoken at my elementary and middle school. But I do think that the project-based learning, the Title I that we bring in as far as money, as far as bringing in, the Title I that pays for the parenting program, you have to add all those indicators, sir. And that's when public ed does become a true equalizer. And I do think Tanya Teal is doing a decent job. Not, yes, I'm meeting everybody's needs, no. But the project-based learning in STEM and STEAM, that's why our middle schools, I think I'd send any kid to our middle schools because of that, because they're more engaged. But I just wanted to bring that up, but it's a very valid point.
Mr. Sherman.
Ms. Brown.
Focusing here in the graphics that you sent us, it says elementary parents, 88% want more GT instruction. What is going to be the follow-up of this? Are you going to send letters to the parents? Is this project for the next school year? This year?
So that's from our survey at the end of last school year, which is part of the reasons I want to make changes. I would like for our elementary students, at least at 4th and 5th grade, to spend more time with the GT teacher in a GT class. I put those graphics in there so that you all could see that there's a request from our parents to give our students more of the GT instruction.
And how are you going to address these parents that are requesting this? What is the follow-up?
The follow-up is I've asked to present to our principals to talk to them about some of the details of my idea and how it could possibly work at each of their campuses, and it would be for next school year.
For the next year. So then you're going to be sure that the parents that they requested this, they be informed. Maybe there's opportunity for the kids, right?
Correct.
I expect that. Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
So Rodriguez?
I just, going back on the inclusiveness, and I think that the issue here is, you know, students learn differently at different levels, at different, even sometimes after high school, right? So there's some that did horrible in high school, but when they got to college, they're on the dean's list. And so I think the biggest thing that I want to see is making sure that we focus on increasing the rigor for all kids. Because when you increase the rigor and the expectations, you're going to have a lot more students, especially talking about diversity and inclusiveness of, you know, you'll have GT students in there, you're going to have other type of students, or probably, you know, like perfect examples like the early college high school. That wasn't just the cream of the crop from our district because we weren't big enough. You had limited English proficient students in there, you had special ed students in there, and increasing that rigor, we were able to see the academic attainment for a lot of those kids. And so I think if we're able to infuse that at the high school and across the district, right, we're going to see that continued growth of rigor, of academic attainment, and I think that's where I think society will be better at.
I completely agree. One of the things I have been working on this year is bringing in professional development for all of our teachers, that the techniques are gifted and talented teaching techniques. So even if they're not teaching in an advanced class or a gifted class, I'm sharing these techniques with all of our teachers. We have some presenters coming in on our next PD date that's specific to GT, but it's going to be for all of our secondary math and science teachers.
Can you give us a breakdown of how many of these students are male, female?
I can. I don't have that number in my head right now, but I could do that.
Be interesting.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, that takes care of this agenda item. With the board's consent, we will now go back to agenda item on the resolution.
So the motion was on the floor and seconded. I just wanted to amend it to include the highlighted part on the top, and on the bottom, what we have put in public activities to include open space. And so that's the only correction, but other than that, the resolution is good to go.
All right. So you're moving to amend it as presented now?
I have a question too. What are we gonna do with this?
It's open to the public, so if, I mean,
File it just, it's our resolution.
if people wanna use it, whatever it is, we could send it to city staff. We could send it to city staff and, city plan commission as well. I didn't know that we had city staff here.
Somebody from the city is here.
Thank you all for being here. And,
But they could have a copy of this if they want.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the motion that was, motion and seconded. Do I have here a second on the motion to amend?
Second.
All right. Polling the board now on the amendment. Everybody in favor? All right, the motion is amended. And now we will, without any, we have any further discussion, then we'll have Sonia poll the board.
One question.
Ms. Searles.
It was brought up by Ms. Brigham the last time, and I don't mean to start like a big talk on this, but I just wanna make sure that if any trustee would like to bring a resolution forward, that it would be allowable.
Yes.
And acceptable.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Sonia, please poll the board.
Yes, sir. Ms. Brigham.
Yes.
Mr. Coronado.
Yes.
Mr. Payan.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
yes.
Mrs. Searles.
Yes.
Mrs. Trout.
Yes.
And Mrs. Iglesias.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, next agenda item.
Consent agenda.
I move.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the consent agenda item. Sonia, please pull the board.
I had two I wanna pull, please.
Okay. Which
I'd
item?
like number 3, the warrant list, and number 5, the budget amendment.
Okay. Did you contact the administration about that?
I did.
Okay.
But I thought our answer satiated budget amendments. If the
Somewhat.
warrant report was just today.
No, I didn't get it, that's what I'm gonna ask about, I asked 3 weeks ago.
Of the warrant report?
Yeah, the day it came out, no, I called Ms. Pekarsky,
So
the day it came out. I read through that entire warrant list, called them up, so they.
I just heard about the budget amendment.
And no one has gotten back with the warrant list.
Okay. All right, we will then, pull agenda item 7A, 3, and 5. With that, Mr. Make the motion.
Ms. Trout.
Ms. Trout?
Yes.
Will you, agree to have the motion exclude items 3 and 5 from your motion approved? All right. Okay, with that, and whoever second that,
I guess, yeah, I'm okay.
all the board in favor of removing it?
All
right. Okay,
right.
we'll now pull the board, Sonia, on, approving the consent agenda with the exception of item 3 and 5.
I just wanna make sure that if you have a question that I wanna find, and I'll talk to staff about the question, but also some of it, that it's timely. Again, because again, it's not your meeting, it's a board meeting, so I just want,
All right, Sonia?
Ms. Brigham.
Yes.
Mr. Coronado.
Yes?
Mr. Payan.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mrs. Searles.
Yes.
Mrs. Trout.
Yes.
And Mrs. Iglesias.
Yes.
All right, agenda item, 83783. Ms. Earl?
Yes, I called, Ms. Pekarsky is not here, but I called on a Friday. I got it on a Friday, called that Friday, 3 weeks have gone by. I haven't heard a word. And, which is very unusual. Usually at the very,
And I do believe the memo is ready and it was presented to her, so I'm not sure she just had the opportunity to upload it to Thursday morning yet.
okay.
So the responses are prepared. I can talk to her and see if.
Yes, please, because I went through the hardship, so to speak, of doing that as quick as I could in hopes that I'd get the answers back before this meeting.
Okay.
instead of even at this meeting, and definitely not after the meeting.
Right. So let me check.
I would like to, yeah, I go, you know, I put out the effort to do it instantly, as quick as possible, and I would appreciate if it get back to the board before the meeting, really.
Yes, let me check.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, I move to approve the monthly warrant.
I'll second.
Motion is second, agenda item 7A3. Sonia?
Ms. Brigham.
Yes.
Mr. Coronado.
Yes.
Mr. Payan.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mrs. Searles.
Yes.
Mrs. Trout.
Yes.
And Mrs. Iglesias.
Yes.
Motion passes 785.
Ms. Searles?
Yes, I saw these budget amendments and I called Dr. Galavis, he's right on, we had a really good talk about it, but I felt that I'm not comfortable with just saying yes on spending that much money. It's a huge amount to budget over, and I just wanted to get reassurance from Dr. Galavis that we will see more communication on how these have been budgeted, as we've had no vetting of any of these different items that are on here.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm thinking specifically of like the band uniforms. We've only bought band uniforms twice in the history of Canyon.
Tell by how much the item is.
Yes.
All these expenses are gonna come back.
But each time the board gets like a nice review of the unit, you know, I just wanna make sure we're not going, yep, okay, we're gonna spend $1 million tonight and we not see
The board's,
the fruit of what we're buying.
I think it's our job to pick the uniform and to make sure that the uniform is for the child, the student. I don't see the board.
Well, the
Because
board's
I've
always, I
experienced-
just pulled that up, the board is always, the children will come and model them, it's a big deal. Spend 150, 2 times in the history of KMUTO we've had band uniforms.
Just buying back uniforms.
I know, you're from a big school district.
Letting the user, letting them pick,
Well, they do.
not get into colored.
Well,
But we can do that.
But
We can do that.
I believe that community involvement is very important.
At the high school.
And that we are the leaders of the community, and all of this should ultimately come to us as being the leaders of the community. So I don't feel comfortable just, you know, waiving $1.2 million, bingo, that's fine.
But we're not.
We're not, and that's what Dr. Galavis has assured me. All of this grant will come back in communication and for board.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. And with that, I move to approve the budget amendment.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Any further discussion? Sonia?
Ms. Brigham.
Yes.
Mr. Coronado.
Yes.
Mr. Payan.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mrs. Searles.
Yes.
Mrs. Trout.
Yes.
Mrs. Iglesias.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, that takes us to adjournment. Unanimous.
Executive session.
Executive session,
The
sorry.
meeting is to be closed under Texas Government Code Sections 551.071,